Today I want to give you some advice on how to avoid being trapped by astral entities that often pose as representatives of the forces of light, and most often as saints or ascended masters. As the vibrations of the earth and your own vibrations rise, some people open a channel of communication with the subtle plane. This manifests itself in different ways. Some people begin to receive information from their heavenly assistants in the form of clairvoyance, and others in the form of clairaudience, when certain thoughts, and sometimes even entire texts, suddenly appear in their heads. Each person reacts to this differently, depending on their personal qualities and level of consciousness. Therefore, his further communication with the ascended masters can go either along the path of creation and development, or along the path of degradation, loss of connection with this source. Unfortunately, the second option is more common. And the reason for this is pride, a feeling of being chosen and superior to others, ordinary people, to whom such communication is not available. But as soon as such qualities begin to predominate in a person, his vibrations drop sharply, which means that his interaction with higher order beings becomes impossible. But a holy place is never empty, and it is quickly occupied by representatives of the subtle plane who are no longer holy, but rather by astral entities of the most varied levels and energetic characteristics. Thus, a person who is obsessed with pride is attracted to the same astral proud people by vibrations and quality of energy. As a result, the ascended masters, as they present themselves to them, acquire such proud titles as master, teacher, saint, which is not at all characteristic of those bright souls who carry out their service on the subtle plane. They, unlike humans, have long since moved away from the games and realities of the three-dimensional world and those emotions that are characteristic of people who are completely immersed in it. Therefore, my dears, be very attentive to your feelings if suddenly a channel of communication with the subtle plane opens up for you. Carefully monitor both your own vibrations and the vibrations of those beings who contact you. All those whose vibrations are at a level below the sixth chakra are undoubtedly astral imposters, even if they pronounce beautiful and correct words and are fully dedicated to the topic of the Earth's transition to the fifth dimension. I remind you of this again only because the veil between the physical and subtle worlds is becoming thinner every day, which means that more and more people will be able to gain the ability to communicate with the inhabitants of the subtle plane. And which of them will become your interlocutor depends only on you, on your vibrations and your personal qualities. And one more piece of advice: never abuse such communication, since curiosity is most often satisfied by astral entities, no matter what names they introduce themselves to you by. That's where we'll stop today. The Father Absolute, who loves you immeasurably, spoke to you.